Hello, lovely people. Welcome to today's edition. As you know, we are based in China, and China being one of the largest exporter of goods, and China being one of the largest business hub, we can't start this live edition without talking about business. So, therefore, today we are coming to talk about how to start a business in China. And join with us is Ubuntu Consulting, one of the biggest and largest consulting firm based in China. It's a consulting firm that is best at providing solutions to people who are thinking of starting their business in China. Trust me, when I was young, the first English word I learned was made in China. And I didn't understand why everything is made in China. Every product you see, they've written made in China. Therefore, I decided to come to China and know why it is made in China. I realized that even most products which we think is made in Germany have their factories in China. Therefore, if you are thinking of any place to start a business, then China should be one of the uh, places you should think of. Without wasting my time, let me welcome the one uh, consultant, Mr. Kwame from Ubuntu Consulting. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me, Dax.
Thank you very much. Glad to hear. When we talk about Ubuntu Consulting, what is Ubuntu Consulting all about?
Okay, Ubuntu Consulting is one of the global business solution providers in China. So, what we basically do is we help entrepreneurs and
Yes.
business owners start, manage, and grow their businesses. But we provide these services in two folds. So, the first
Okay.
part is we help foreigners who want to come to China to set up a business, or foreigners who are already living in China, whether
Yes.
studying or doing like visiting or tourists or whatever, that would like to start a business in China or do business in China. So we help foreigners in China set up their businesses, manage them, and grow them. And
Yes.
the second part of it is we help foreign investors in China set up businesses and invest in Africa. So these are the two kind of clientele that we serve at Ubuntu Consulting.
Oh, wow. That's so wonderful. So you are mostly based in investing in China and in Africa. Wow.
Definitely, we want a win-win cooperation between Asia and Africa. So yeah, and
Wow. Then you,
other places also because we do help our clients scale their businesses to the US, to Canada, to Europe, and other stuff, and also to Dubai. Also,
wow. Then I must say you are almost global now. Thinking of Africa and China only is not a small task. Wow. So talking about China, why must someone even set up a business in China?
so from what you said growing up, all that you could hear was made in China, made in China. So pretty much everything is made in China. So why wouldn't you be part of it? So I think the real question should be why shouldn't you be part of wherever everything is being made? China happens
Yes.
to be basically the largest economy now, like market
Yes.
shares and other stuff. So China is a good place to start a business in terms of manufacturing costs. Is also low over here. And they have
Yes.
a very large number of labor force also due to their population. So, and they've got good systems in terms of logistics. So, when you manufacture your things in order to move them around to other places in the world, also you do, they do provide that. So, I believe China is a place to be. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Wow. Cost, labor, and production. Wow, that's so wonderful. So, what are the kind of businesses foreigners can really start in China?
Okay. In terms of businesses that foreigners can start in China, it cuts across a lot of, like a large scope.
Yes.
Mostly, foreigners do set up, let's say, logistic businesses, manufacturing
Okay.
businesses, technology businesses, trade and sourcing businesses, then yeah, then consulting businesses also. So pretty much these are the most popular industries that I do find foreigners set up businesses.
Oh wow. Then from what you just mentioned, you have almost mentioned everything, meaning every kind of business anybody
Yes.
is thinking of, that person can start in China.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so great. So, how easy is it to start a business in China?
I wouldn't say it's easy. However, it's not that complicated also as most of us might think of, because it's
Yes,
pretty much the same. You being from another country trying to set up a business in a country that is not where you're from. Obviously, you need to put in a lot of
yes,
work to set it up. So, but the systems are pretty much straightforward to set it up. As I said, there are certain industries that foreigners are not allowed to participate in. However, pretty much most of the industries you are permitted to participate in it. And even if these certain industries that foreigners are not allowed to participate in, there are different
yes,
types of business entities or company entities in China. So if you're looking at, let's say, if you want to be a 100% owner of the company, that is what they have an entity here called the wholly foreign owned enterprise, normally called as the
yes,
WOFU. So with this kind of company, like you don't have any local shareholders, you own it 100%. That is where the scope is not that large. However, it's pretty much cut across majority of the scope. If you like to enter into
yes,
certain industries that are not allowed in for a foreign owned enterprise, there are other business entities like the
yes.
joint ventures and other stuff whereby you could easily partner with a Chinese local to set up such a business. So I think you can pretty much do any business you want to do in China.
Oh wow. You talked about some businesses which are not allowed for foreigners. But then before we even talk about those kind of businesses, what are the processes involved in starting a business in China?
Okay. First of all, I think you need to decide on the type of business you would like to start. Do you get it?
Yes,
So if the type of business you like to start falls under the category whereby you can own 100% of it, that is like the Wolfu company, then
yes,
we can look at the process of setting up like a foreign, wholly foreign owned enterprise in China. So with such entity, to start with it, you need to do your scope to know the industry that like the type of business you want to do, the business activities that you want to have. So you do your research to get a
yes,
scope of it to understand the industry that you want to enter into. Then the next thing is you after you've done your background checks and research and everything, and you've
yes,
decided on the entity, the next thing is to decide on the city which you want to set up the business in, because pretty much we all know China is really big. So every
yes,
city has got what it's known for. So for example, if you like to do trade,
yes,
obviously Guangzhou will be a better city for you. If you want to do technology stuff, you can check
yes.
out Shenzhen or
Oh,
Hangzhou. Do you get it? If you want to do international trade and other stuff, you could check Shanghai. So it depends on the industry or what you really want to do. Then you identify the city that is going to help you succeed in the business that you want to start. So after you've determined the city,
yes.
pretty much all the cities, the rules or the laws for setting up a company is pretty much the same. However, there are other cities that change a little bit, but
Influences. Yeah,
the broader view is the same. But they have
yeah,
other cities that require certain things that other cities might not require you to get. So let's
yeah,
take, for example, if you want to start a trading or a trading company, and
yes,
you decide to settle on Guangzhou.
yes.
Now, you first of all have to get a business address of the company in order to register a company in China. So the first step is to get a business address
Yes,
or like the office space of it.
yeah,
After you've identified your address or you've gotten a company address or office address, now
office,
you've
yes.
decided the name of the company.
Of the
So
company.
China
Okay.
have a different naming structure in terms of companies. So normally your company name has to have wherever the city that you register the company in. So, for example, if you are registering your company in Guangzhou, it's going to the
Yes.
name structure is going to be Guangzhou ABC, let's say Trading Company Limited. Sometimes also you can put the city name in the middle, so it could be ABC Guangzhou into bracket Guangzhou Trading Company Limited. So
Yes.
you submit three names to the government, and if one of them is approved, now you get the lease contract from the office with the company name, and the company name is also going to be in Chinese characters, no English.
Oh,
However, your
really?
branding and marketing, yes, everything is going to be in Chinese characters. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's going to be like Guangzhou ABC Trading Company Limited. However, it's going to be in Chinese characters. Then after
Yeah.
you're done with the office space, then you
Yeah.
register, you submit your articles of association to register the company. And you only need a passport, a copy of your passport to register a company
Yes.
in China. And it takes 5 to 7 days to set it up. Yeah. Within
Really?
5 to 7 days, you're going to get your business license. Yeah. Pretty much straightforward.
Wow. The process seems so simple. Is it that the cost involved is very expensive? That's
Not
why
not
the process.
really. Not really. You see, it's simple if you know what you're doing. So the people have
Yeah.
this misconception that in China whatever you do is complicated because
Yes.
of probably because of the language barrier and the culture and other stuff. That's why people have this notion that maybe it's complicated, but it's pretty much simple, and
Yeah.
it's quite affordable to set up a company in China. You've been proud to last year December, your starting capital
Yes.
wasn't required. You didn't have to prove your registered capital for starting the company. So you could start your company, let's say, I want to start my company with, let's say, $10,000. You weren't required to
Yes.
show or funds for that $10,000.
That
However, just
amount.
recently, last year, December, there is a new law that
Yeah.
requires you to show the proof of funds within the first 5 years you register the company. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't think the process is that simple. Probably is because we have you. That is why it seems so simple and so easy for us to understand it. I personally have been in China for over 5 years now, and trust me, I didn't know all these things. So if anybody is thinking of starting a business, then you should know that Ubuntu Consulting is the best firm for you to guide you, direct you, to make all the process and everything so easy. I personally, I never thought about city when starting up a business. What is it really that you have to really base on the city? You have to consider the city. Is it that if I want to start a pharmaceutical company and I start it anywhere, it's not possible, or is by the policy that you have to start maybe this city is more about technology, so you have to start your company in this city, or why is it like that?
Okay, so I think, as I said, China is big. China is broad. So, for
Yeah.
example, if you want to start, let's say, a pharmaceutical company, then
Yes.
if you're able to identify a city whereby the factories that are involved in such field are there, it makes
Yes.
it easier for you to run the business. So, for example, if you're running a logistic company, then you set up your company in, let's say, Wuhan. Obviously, you can still run it in Wuhan. However, there isn't a port in Wuhan.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So if you are running a logistic company, it will make sense to set it up in Guangzhou, Yiwu, Tianjin, where they've got ports whereby you can easily move your goods out of the country and other stuff. So it depends on the field. That's why sometimes you have to really consider the city in order for you to be successful. But you can register your
Oh,
company in Wuhan and logistic
yes.
company in Wuhan and still be doing your logistics in Guangzhou because you can easily travel from Wuhan to Guangzhou to make sure to
Yeah.
facilitate activities there.
Oh, wow. So those who are thinking of starting a business, a company in China, then you should know that there's no other consulting firm than Ubuntu Consulting. They have all the knowledge, they know everything about China, and they can give you the best solutions and the best ideas or whatever to do in terms of starting up a business. You mentioned capital. What is the minimum capital needed to start a basic company or business in China?
Well, I don't think there's a specific amount. It's based on the industry, like based on logic. For example, if you decide to start a manufacturing company in China, you're going to build a
Yeah,
factory. You can't tell them you're starting your company with, let's say, 1,000 renminbi. Do you get it? You guys say you're starting your company with 1,000 renminbi or 5,000
yeah,
renminbi. Do you get it? So
yeah,
it depends on this, like the industry you're in. For a trading
yeah,
company, you can say, oh, I'm starting my company with, let's say, 50,000 RMB, 10,000 RMB, 20,000 RMB. Yeah.
yeah,
But with all these things, since you are not supposed to prove the funds for now, you have
yes,
5 years to prove the funds. So, but
yes,
it's good to I like settle on an amount that makes sense to the kind of business activities that you're running. So, as for
yeah,
example, when you even go to the bank to set up a bank account after you've registered your company and whatever,
yes.
then the bank can know that, oh, okay, actually his starting capital is, let's say, 500,000 renminbi. So he means business. So we can actually do business with this guy and, register, set up a bank account for the person. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's so nice. So, when we come to Ubuntu Consulting, do you provide any service like giving ideas or directing people what kind of business they can do? I'm sure there are probably many people outside who want to start a business or company in China, but they are really wondering what kind of business they can really start and all those things. Do you provide any services like that?
Yes, of course, because Ubuntu Consulting is all about providing personalized services. We believe there isn't one size fits all solution out there. So our first step is to consult. That's why we are consulting first. So based
Wow.
on what you want to do, we can guide you, come up with the business strategy. What kind of business to do based on your resources and your interests and other stuff. Yeah, so we do help people do that.
Oh wow, that's so nice. So lovely people, if you are thinking of starting any business in China, then you should think of Ubuntu Consulting, and they are the best firm to direct you, guide you in everything concerning starting a business in China. So apart from starting company, how about visa issues for foreigners? One of the biggest and largest frustration of most foreigners in China is about getting visa, most especially working visa. Why is it that most people always get their visas rejected? They have all the documents, their money ready, and yet their visas are mostly rejected.
Visas are a very complicated issue in China because,
Yeah,
as I said, most people you said maybe they believe they have all the documents ready and other
yes,
stuff, but sometimes people don't actually know the specific requirements. In China, information
yeah,
turns out to be very scanty. People don't know what the laws are. Most people
that's
don't, get involved in, knowing what is required to get a work visa and other stuff. Because
that's
it differs from city to city. Actually, it differs from
yeah.
city to city depending on the work permit. For example, so in order to live and work legally in China, you need
Yes.
a work visa, that is the Z visa. That is
Yeah.
what we normally call a work visa. However, the work visa itself is just it allows someone to enter China with a purpose to work. So that is not what you actually use in China here to work, because it just allows you to enter the country on the purpose of working.
Oh,
So in order to work legally in China, you need two types of permits. You need a
okay.
work permit and a resident permit. These are the two permits you need to work, like you need in order to work legally in China. So when you get
Yes.
your work visa, the work visa will just grant you entry into the country. However, when you get into the country, you have about 30 days to switch to get yourself
Okay.
your work permit,
Resident
your
permit.
resident permit. So these are the two components of a working visa in China. And as I
Yeah.
said, it differs from city to city. So The work permit has got
Yeah.
about 3 categories. It's got the
Okay.
A, B, and C. Category A is for high talent or experts, like a scientist, a top engineer. So normally
Yeah.
most people have the B category B work permit. Yeah, the
Okay.
category A is for top experts. Category B is for professional workers, normal professional workers, and
Yes.
category
Yeah.
C is for skilled workers without degree. So, for example, if you
Oh,
don't have
okay.
a degree, you can still get a work visa, but probably you end up having a category C work permit. So, category A work permits you to live in China up to sometimes up to 5 years. So, sometimes they will give you a resident permit for between, let's say, 2 or 3 to 5 years. A
Wow.
category B work permit can get you a resident permit with a duration of 1 to 3 years. And
Yeah.
category C will get you a work permit of with a work permit with a resident permit of 3 months to at most a year. So it depends on your
Wow.
category. And every city, not every city can even give you the category C work permit. So that's why I keep on saying you need to
Yeah.
know the city you want to set up the business. You need to know the city you want to even apply for the work permit. Do you get it?
Wow.
And every city, their requirements is quite
A little bit
different.
different.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that I believe that is why most people end up getting their application being rejected. And I think the documentation also plays a part. Most people don't even know the required documents to get these permits. So, for example, in order to get your work permit in China, you do need there are two ways to get a work permit in China. The first one is to get a job. So when you get a job, the company is going to facilitate your work permit. So when you get an
Oh,
employment in China, they are going to facilitate your work
yes.
permit. The other route is to set up your own company. So when you set up your own company, you have the chance to employ yourself as a director of the company. Then you go through the same process to
Yeah.
get yourself a work visa. So these are the two ways to get a work visa. Now, when people set up a company, obviously they have the chance to employ themselves to get a work permit or, like in quote, a work visa. But the requirements
Yes.
are you need to have your educational certificate. So, for example, as I explained, if you're looking for the
Yeah.
category B, you need to know that at least you need to have a minimum of a bachelor degree to apply for a category
Okay.
B permit. If you want a
Yeah.
category C, you can do with high school and work experience to get it. So you need your educational
Wow.
certificate. You need your non-criminal certificate from your home country.
Country. Yeah.
This differs from cities. Some cities will allow you to get a non-criminal record from China. Other cities will not accept such a non-criminal record. They will ask you to get one from back home. So you need non-criminal record. You need your degree. You need 2 years. If you're looking for category B work
Yes.
permit, you need a minimum of 2 years work experience. So these are certain things that people don't have, and they say, "Oh, I've got all the document." Probably, maybe you
Document.
just graduated. You don't even have like
Any
any work
experience.
experience. So
Yes.
obviously, you don't have all the requirements. So you need a minimum of 2 years work experience, your educational certificate, your non-criminal record, then obviously the company that you set up, the documentation of the company.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, you can apply for a work permit. And when you get work permit, takes about 12 to 20 days for it to be approved. The first part of the work permit is going to be your work permit notification letter. So that is when, if you're outside of the country, you can use that letter to get a Z visa, enter the country. But when you get
Wow.
into the country, you need to continue with the process to get a work card. It's like an ID card, the work permit card. So when you get that work permit card,
Wow.
then
Before you even continue, yeah. Wow. In
yes,
fact, guys, I'm really learning so much today.
yes,
I, I always thought I knew much in
yeah.
China, but I, I just know little. I didn't know
Yeah,
even
so
people with
basically,
certificate can even start a company in China. Wow.
Definitely.
That's interesting.
So when you get a notification letter, if you're out, so you can start a company, like you can register the company whilst even being outside of China. Then you can
Okay.
also start a work permit process whilst being outside of China. But when you get your
Wow.
work permit notification letter, then you can
Yeah.
apply for a Z visa, come in to get your work permit card. So the work permit card is something like this. This is how
Oh,
it looks.
okay.
It's like an ID card. Yeah. So
Yes.
with your information on it. So this is how it looks. Yeah. So then when you get your work permit card, then you
Yeah.
you you move to the final stage of getting a resident permit. But the funny thing is, you can register your company with no problem. Then you can
Yes.
move to the second stage of getting the work permit card with no issue. However, where
Yeah.
most people get rejected is the final part, that is the resident permit. Because remember, this work permit
Wow.
allows you to work in China, but not live in China. So how can you
Oh,
work in
wait.
China if you can't live
How
in
can
China?
you exactly? How can you work in China without living in China? Wow.
That's the part. So sometimes they go through the whole process of getting the business certificate, and they get a work
Yes.
permit. Now you are permitted to work in China, but you have to
Yes.
get a resident permit to live in China in order to work. So that is where
Interesting.
people get rejected. So
Yeah.
uh, they apply for the resident permit and they get rejected. So when you are being rejected, obviously your work permit becomes of no use because you can't
Yes.
work here if you can't live here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why one would say, if I've been approved of the company certificate,
Why?
I've been
Yes.
approved of the work permit, then why then are you refusing the resident permit? The reason being,
Exactly.
the three phases go through different bodies. So, for example,
Okay.
the local office is in charge of the business certificate. And their
Yes.
requirement, they don't even check your non-criminal record to register a company. So they don't even check your visa status to do it. So they'll get your business certificate for you. Now you move to the work permits department, that is the labor office. For that one also, they will check your non-criminal record, they will check your educational background, they will check your work experience and get you the work permit. However, when you
Yes.
go to the resident permit, now they have to check your type of visa, your medicals also. So when you get to the resident permit,
Oh,
they have to check your health, status. So they have to check
your
your
health
medicals.
and everything.
So probably
Yes.
maybe you're qualified, but maybe you have a kind of disease that you're not permitted to live in China. So this can
Oh,
also
okay.
get you disqualified for not getting a resident permit because they will check your medicals. Then they will do a deep dive into your non-criminal record, like in China, or if you've been in China, they will check
In
it.
your
So
home
probably
country.
maybe you've worked illegally in China, so you've got a bad record, a bad
Yes.
credit in China, but you didn't know of it. So you,
Yes.
you, you end up getting your business certificate, end up getting your work permit. But when you get to the
Yes.
resident permit, that is when it's going to flag in the system and they'll go like, oh no, you are not permitted to live in China because probably you've committed a crime, you've done something in China before, you've got a disease or something like that. Do you get it? So that is how
Wow.
companies get rejected.
Wow. From what you just mentioned, meaning that the first two processes is very relaxed and easy.
Not relaxed. The first one is very relaxed because
Yes.
for business licenses, you just need a passport. You don't even have to be
Yes.
in China. Yeah. The
Yes.
second phase is not that relaxed because that one also they'll check your non-criminal record from your home country. They'll check your
Yes.
educational certificate, your CV. They'll check your work experience. So it's not that relaxed
Yes.
to get you the work permit. However, the most difficult part is the resident permit. So that is when people go like, "Oh, I got rejected for a work visa in China."
Oh wow, yeah. I was about to ask why is it that most people get rejected, but you mentioned most of them. I know the rest. If you want to start anything, just reach them and they'll reach them for consulting and they will guide you through all the process and
Yeah.
everything. Wow.
So
Yeah.
yes, so what I was saying about how they end up getting rejected. So, for example, if you deal with a reliable consulting firm,
Yes.
uh, sometimes these three parts you can get them from different service providers. So someone might
Yes.
go to consultant A to get a business license, then later go to consultant B
Another
to, let's say, get a
consultant.
work
Yeah.
permit, then later go to consultant C to get your resident permit. So there isn't flow of information. But if you
Yes.
happen to have a consulting firm or a service provider that provides all these three things, before they
Yes.
even start working with you, they will make sure that you are in the clear for the work permit and the resident permit before they even start the application. So as you won't end up having any surprises. So because if
Wow.
they really know what they're doing, they should be able to tell you, oh, do you have a non-criminal record? Do you have any bad record in China? Do you have any disease?
Yeah.
They should know all these things. So as you don't waste your time even going through all the process later to be rejected at the final stage.
Wow. And I'm sure you provide all these services.
Definitely.
Oh,
Definitely, we
okay.
provide, yeah, because what is the essence of you registering the company if we can get you the visa? Because you have to stay in China to run your business. So, yeah,
Yes.
so we provide all these services.
W- Wow, you guys are really doing an amazing job in China. Trust me. This is my first time to see a foreign consulting group in China. They have always been Chinese, 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 and this is the first and so far the biggest in China. If you are thinking of any visa issue or anything, you should reach them and they will do a good job for you. And wow, thank you very much for all those information.
You're
In terms
welcome.
of setting up a company or business in China and Hong Kong, is there some difference?
Yes, obviously, there are two different countries, but one country,
Yeah.
for lack of better words. So,
Yes.
normally, I would say it isn't, the options are not like Hong Kong or China. Normally, it's China and Hong Kong. Why
Oh,
do I say
okay.
that? So China is great, like it's good. However,
Yes.
there are some challenges that you might face running your business in China. One of the
Okay.
most popular challenges that you might face in China is receiving money, payments, and other stuff. So, for example,
Yes.
if you want to receive money in China, sometimes it becomes a headache because of
Yes.
they send money into your business account, and you have to go and verify with your invoice, prove the source of funds and other stuff, based on
Yes.
the laws and other stuff. So there's kind of control over money issues in China. So normally, in order to run a successful business, most business owners tend to set up an offshore company in Hong Kong. So
Yes.
they register their company in China, get a visa in China, run the business in China. However, they set up a company in Hong Kong, Singapore, close by, mostly
Yes.
it's Hong Kong, to use the financial systems of Hong Kong. To get,
Oh,
for
wow.
example, company names in Hong Kong is in English. So probably
Yes.
maybe obviously, yeah, your business will not have a Chinese name when you're doing your branding and marketing. So, but here legally, your name is supposed to be Chinese. So when you send even a
Yes.
bank account to a client, so for example, you're in talks with a client, they are about to
Yeah.
make payment. Then you send them an invoice, and they see some Chinese characters, Guangzhou, yo, yo. Then they go like, "Oh, is this the same company I've been
Oh,
started with
and
me? Maybe
yeah.
your name out there is like Ubuntu Consulting." Then
Yes.
you send them an invoice, and now it has the Chinese characters, and
Chinese.
and it reads Guangzhou Yobantu International Yoshi. So they go like, I don't know this company. Do you get it? So when you set up
Yeah.
a Hong Kong company, Hong Kong is
Yeah.
like it is an English name, because yeah. So you can use your name that you're using on your social media to register in Hong Kong. So when you
Yes.
send invoices and other stuff, they still see that it's the same company they're dealing with. Then Hong Kong also happens to not have any financial control over the money in Hong Kong, so you can receive dollars and make
Yeah.
payments in dollars without any issues. So what normally people do is they set up the company in China, run it. However, they set up an offshore company in Hong Kong to get a
Oh,
bank system in Hong Kong to receive money, to receive payments from clients. Then the good thing about Hong Kong is, since I said it's a two country but one country system, so you
yeah.
can still remit the money from Hong Kong into China without having any issues. So it would be like, oh, it's just from China to China. So you wouldn't have the
Yeah.
issue like sending money from the UK or the US into your Chinese local
Mm,
account. Yeah.
account. Oh, wow. So meaning Hong Kong seems to have more better options as compared to having it in China.
in terms of payment, not better
Oh,
options. 'Cause in terms of options, as I said,
oh,
in terms of
yeah.
the factories and labor and other stuff, China
It's in
obviously
Hong
has the
Kong.
advantage. But in
Yeah,
terms of finances, like bank control and other stuff, foreign exchange control, Hong
yeah.
Kong is better than mainland China. So that's why people prefer to set up their offshore companies in Hong Kong to control the cash flow of their business. However, the business activities, everything is being done in mainland China.
Oh, wow. Oh, and you provide that service as well for
E-
Hong Kong.
We are
Oh,
a global consulting firm, so we
yeah.
provide companies set up in Hong Kong,
Yes.
Singapore, Dubai,
Wow.
UK, US, Canada, and China, obviously. So these are the countries that we help, and also in Africa for our Chinese investors. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Initially, when you mentioned that the name of the company will be in Chinese, I didn't really understand until you just mentioned now. So, meaning that even if my company name is in English and people know it's Das Group, if I send a message or an official message or something like that, it will be in Chinese.
Yes, it's going to be in Chinese. You can because all official documents in China is in Chinese, obviously, because the language is
Yeah.
Chinese. So yeah, it's going to be in Chinese. However, when you register a company, they do give you stamps. They give you three stamps. One is for the company, one is for finance, and one is for the director of the company, which
Yes.
we call chops. Chops. Yeah, yeah. It's sometimes a red stamp. I think I do have one here. So
Oh,
it's like this. Yeah.
oh,
So with this stamp, you can have the English name also on one of the stamps, the English name.
oh,
However, the English name is also going to have the same format. So
yeah.
it's going to have the name of the city. So for example, our company in Guangzhou is Guangzhou, Ubuntu, whatever, whatever, whatever. So the
Yes.
stamp also has the Guangzhou in it. Meanwhile, our name on social media or our branding doesn't have the city Guangzhou because we are registered in China, US, Canada, and all these places. So we can't put Guangzhou in in our name on social media. Yeah. So, but the
Yes.
stamp will still have the Guangzhou because of the China policies.
Oh, wow. Very soon we are about ending this life. I've learned so much. Before we even end, you mentioned that sometimes people are rejected because of uh they having some illegal issues living in China. So in case somebody has ever had an issue like being fined for working illegal or something like that, the person should never think of getting uh a resident permit in China.
It depends. It depends on the intensity of the crime. So, for example, maybe you are being caught. First of all, don't do anything illegal in China. don't don't get caught like working illegal. Because, as I said,
Yes.
the only way you can legally earn income or work in China is to have a work permit and a resident permit. Yeah,
Yes.
so if you're a student and you go out there to work to earn an income, it's still considered illegal employment when you're being caught. So first of all, avoid that. In cases
Yes.
whereby you couldn't avoid, then you do it and you're being caught. It depends on the
Yeah.
intensity of it. So when sometimes you are being caught doing that, they might give you a pardon, like or don't do it again. If it doesn't
Yes.
go into the record, you are safe. But however, if it goes into the record, some
Yes.
cities might overlook it, but some cities will not. As I said, depending
Yeah.
on the intensity of the crime. Do you get it
Yes.
there? Because sometimes when you're being caught, you get even deported and you'll be
Yes.
banned from entering China for 5 years. Do you get
Yes.
it? It's not that easy to do.
Yeah. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. In fact, I've really learned a lot about these visa issues and starting a business in China. Before we even wrap up and end today's live, um, where can somebody reach Ubuntu Consulting if anybody wants to start a company business in China? I know people outside China um, and still want to start a business in China. How do they reach Ubuntu Consulting?
Okay, you can reach Ubuntu Consulting by searching Ubuntu Consulting Hub because we are a hub that provide all these services. So when you search Ubuntu Consulting Hub, Ubuntu
Yes.
Consulting will come up. Our website is also ubuntuconsultinghub.com, and on
Yeah.
all social media to just search for Ubuntu Consulting Hub. And we attach the hub because, first of all, we are a hub, and two, the name Ubuntu is quite popular because of the essence of it. So a lot
Yes.
of people are using Ubuntu because of the meaning of Ubuntu. So that's why we have ours is Ubuntu Consulting Hub on all social media platforms.
Yeah. The meaning of Ubuntu. Will you like to tell us the meaning of Ubuntu? Why the name Ubuntu? A
Why?
business hub, a consulting hub that helps people in terms of business. Why the name Ubuntu?
Yes, pretty much when people hear Ubuntu, what comes up first is the operating system from Linux. So they think, oh, Ubuntu, operating system. But
Yes.
the name Ubuntu, it's from the southern part of Africa, South
Yeah.
Africa. But part of Eastern Africa also use it. Some people say Bantu, some people say Muntu, some people say Ubuntu. And
Yes.
it's an African philosophy, which means I am because you are
Yeah.
because we are. So it's in an essence, it's just humanity. It means we depend on each other to survive
Yes.
and to prosper. So that is the philosophy of Ubuntu. That's why we collaborate with our people to succeed together. That's why we don't just help foreigners set up businesses in China, but also we help Chinese also set up businesses in Africa. So it's like
Africa.
we depend on each other to survive and grow and thrive together. Yeah. So that's the meaning
Wow.
of.
Wow, that's so powerful. In fact, thank you very much for honoring our invite and coming to share this knowledge for free. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are thinking of starting a business from China or Hong Kong, Singapore, like any business in the world, you should look no further but Ubuntu Consulting. They are there to help make yours setting up your business so easy and so fast. Remember, China is the largest exporter of goods and services in the year 2023. And me personally, as I said earlier on, growing up, the first English word I learned was made in China. I didn't understand why everything is made in China. And if you are thinking of starting your business, Ubuntu Consulting. If you are thinking of getting a work visa, any visa issue, you should reach them. They will guide you, they will give you all the requirements you need. Don't think you have gotten all the information from this life. You need a one on one consulting so that they will guide you, they will give you all the ideas what to do and what not to do. In fact, I'm really amazed and I must applaud Ubuntu Consulting. After 5 years in China, this is the first time that I'm seeing a big consulting firm like this that is here to bring solutions to foreigners in China and foreigners outside who are thinking of investing, starting a business in China, Singapore, Hong Kong, and other countries. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring our invite and coming to share this wonderful information to our audience. Before we even end this live, what are your last words for anybody thinking of starting a business in
In
China
China.
and other countries? Yeah.
Okay, if you are thinking of starting a business, first of all, you are thinking right. So take the first step of starting because it's not that complicated. Ubuntu
Yeah.
Consulting is here to guide you to make your entrepreneurial journey or your business journey as easy as ABC for you. We will help you, guide you, start, and not just start, but help you manage and also grow and scale globally. Yes, so reach out to Ubuntu Consulting and let's
Oh wow. Wow.
impact.
That's so wonderful. And those who are in China and you are thinking of starting a store on any of the e-commerce app on Taobao, Pinduoduo, and all those things, I intentionally didn't ask you how to start these kind of stores on this platform. I want them to reach you one on one. Then you can guide them. If you are thinking of starting any store on any of the e-commerce app or any business idea you want to start, reach them and ask them, is this something good for me to start in China? And they will give you all the information and all the ideas. Thank you so much, sir, for
No,
sharing this information for free. And like Oliver Twist, in future, we would like to have you more to
no problem
give
at
us
all.
more insight about business starting a business in China and challenges of having business in China. Thank you. And this is where time will permit us to end today's live. And stay tuned for more upcoming live shows about China, businesses, and everything about China. See you guys. Bye bye.
Right.